So let's move on, as promised, to our questions from Reddit. And we will start with user Confidence with a K, clearly. He is in a Yahoo 10-man PPR snake draft. He had the #1 overall pick. So we're going to rate his team, Kush Man. So I'll run this off for you, and you tell me how you think he did. So this looks to be in order of what he picked. #1 pick, Aaron Rodgers. LaShawn McCoy, that's, I don't know how that, maybe this was a keeper league. I can't imagine him. No, you know what? He got LaShawn McCoy first.
Yeah. And Aaron Rodgers in the second, yeah.
You're right. So he's got, so let's look at his roster. It's not in order here. So McCoy, Rodgers, Giovanni Bernard, Jeremy Maclin, Percy Harvin, T.Y. Hilton, Zach Ertz for tight end, Kansas City defense. His bench will be Chris Johnson, Wes Welker, Kendall Wright, Kyle Rudolph, who I would actually start over Zach Ertz, Mr. Confidence. This is a league where they start 3 wide receivers, and he would love your input.
Oh, look, I really like everybody on this team with the exception of the guy that plays for the Jets. You know, your wide receivers are a bit weak because you kind of committed a cardinal sin here of taking a QB way too early. You know, yes, Aaron Rodgers is great, but having an actual wide receiver 1 is greater. So you're going to have to work the waiver wire really hard and find that breakout wide receiver, maybe try for a trade. I agree with Rob. I would play Kyle Rudolph over Zach Ertz. He is in Norv Turner's offense. Just look at the guys Norv Turner has coached at tight end in the past, and you'll see that Kyle Rudolph is going to have a good season this year. Wes Welker, be careful of. Kendall Wright, definitely a good pick. I do like the Percy Harvin grab. You know, he may be your wide receiver 1 if he can stay healthy. Problem is he can't really stay healthy. Probably a B to a B plus on this team. You know, again, I don't like to take quarterbacks as early as you had to take Aaron Rodgers, but if that's your strategy, you definitely have a team that's you know, most likely playoff bound as long as everybody stays healthy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'd like the team a lot better had he not gone with Aaron Rodgers there. Hopefully for him it's a somewhat of a quarterback-heavy league or something, because he took Rodgers likely in the beginning of the third round there, actually the beginning of the third when he on the wraparound. You know, guys like, you know, Alshon Jeffrey, Randall Cobb, Keenan Allen would have been there for him. Would have felt much better about his wide receivers had he had a stud like that to hang his hat on and got a quarterback late. And we've preached that, Jay, from the moment we started this, to wait on the QB because it just makes your team better. So we don't need to beat that drum any further. So let's move on to user Blue Moonshine. He or she says, first time playing. I tried my best to study and use all the tips and links that have been shared before their draft last night. Was feeling pretty good until Yahoo gave him or her a B-. Yikes, he says. The only specific question he has is really debating now, which maybe he shouldn't be, as to whether to trade Palmer for Tannehill. But I'll be happy to take any tips or feedbacks as soon as I understand this stuff. He'll be promised to reciprocate his knowledge. So this was a 10-team Yahoo snake draft, had the 5th pick in standard scoring. So I'll go over his team just real quick. Quarterback, Jay Cutler, Matt Forte, AJ Green, Andre Johnson, is wide receiver 1 and 2. Greg Olson for tight end. Got flexing Andre Ellington. Drafted Carson Palmer to pair him up with Cutler, but he's debating again. The whole point of the question is between him and Tannehill. He's got Ladarius Green, Pierre Garçon, Brandon Cooks, Toby Gerhart, Kyrie Robinson as well. So Jay, what do you think about kind of his draft there and the trade question?
All right, well, I think you did a good thing grabbing a QB late, as we said in the last question. I like your running backs and wide receivers, and I think, honestly, Palmer's fine over Tannehill. Listen, Matt Forte as your starting running back, backed up with Toby Gerhart, is really, really nice. Obviously, I'm looking at this here, and it looks like you only have to play one running back, so that's good. You definitely have good wide receivers with A.J. Green, Andre Johnson, Pierre Garçon. You know, definitely a good bunch of guys there, and you can't really beat Andre Ellington in a flex. And I think Greg Olsen is honestly going to be a top 5 tight end this year because somebody has got to catch the ball in Carolina. So yeah, that's what I think. Good job drafting here, Blue Moonshine. I really like what you did.
Yeah, and Palmer and Tannehill, man, they're going back-to-back in ADP. Palmer at 18, Tannehill at 19. So this is just more of a personal preference thing. Neither one of them have the bye week the same as Cutler, which should have been the first thing you looked at. So that, again, that's just a coin flip, who you feel more comfortable with. So let's move on to Play with Poops. Yes, I said user Play with Poops. I don't know if this is a single mom or daddy of 7. I don't know what this is, but hi all. This is my first time doing any fantasy football leagues. I really appreciate some feedbacks and things I did right and wrong. By that token, I apologize for not being able to provide anyone with advice on their rosters. Trust me, you definitely wouldn't want it. I wouldn't even know where to start. So here is their stuff. This was a 12-person snake draft. They had the 11th pick, and it looks to be a standard league. So they also waited on QB. That's a good start. QBs are Jay Cutler and Josh McCown. Running backs are Monte Ball, Andre Ellington, Noshan Moreno, Bishop Sankey, Stephon Taylor. Wide receivers, going Denver heavy here, Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker, James Jones, Cecil Shorts, Kochery. Tight ends, Kyle Rudolph, Dwayne Allen. So Jay, what do you think about Plays with Poops?
It's okay. I like the waiting on QB Cutler. It's kind of funny you got Cutler and McCown. Last year they were together in their points in Chicago. They were like the 5th overall fantasy quarterback together. So hey, you never know. Monty Ball, good RB1, provided that he pans out. A lot of people are a little bit nervous with him. I personally am not. I think Monty Ball is going to have a great season. Ellington, good pick there for your RB2. Your bench guys there, no Sean Bishop, Stephon Taylor. That's all pretty risky. You may end up, out of those guys, no Sean's probably your safest bet. Your wide receivers, man, Eric Decker is your wide receiver too. Again, a jet. Good God, man. I like Kyle Rudolph. Vinatieri and the Bears, kickers and defenses are interchangeable for me. Whatever. Dwayne Allen's a good backup at tight end. Overall, I'd probably have to say, probably a C plus on this. You're gonna have some work to do, Plays with Poops, to make the playoffs. But keep listening to the show, and hopefully we can give you some good waiver wire tips this year, and you will be able to dominate your league, even though you did not have the greatest of drafts.
Yeah, the waiver wire is going to have to be your best friend here. I mean, I'd have no problem going with Monte Ball and Demaryius Thomas on the same team at the different positions because it's the Denver offense. But again, Decker as your wide receiver too is not good. You're going to have to hope Cecil Shorts comes through for you there. And Andre Ellington, and we love him, but in a standard league, it's a decent RB2. It's not great. Kyle Rudolph, a solid tight end. So I'd love to see this draft board to see how this actually played out here, but Bish does have Bishop Sankey, but again, that's going to be probably more of a 4 or 5 games into the season to see what that he's going to get for you there. So again, stay tuned and work that waiver wire. All right, so we're going to move on here to another 12-team snake draft, drafting out of the one hole in PPR with user Agent Targo.
I believe that is correct,
Agent Targo. If we're butchering that, our apologies. So, Jay, this is how their team fared. What do you rate the team here? So, quarterback Romo, they clearly waited. Wide receiver, number 1 pick, I'm sure, was Demaryius Thomas. Wow, they went Demaryius number 1 overall. It looks. Or did I miss? Yeah.
Well, that's probably their first pick. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, well, so Tony Romo quarterback, Demaryius Thomas, A.J. Green came all the way back to them in the second. That's a nice pickup there. Running backs, Frank Gore, CJ2K, tight end, Gronk. Going to put Cordell in the flex. Bench, they have Pierre Thomas, your boy, Noshan, Dwayne Bowe, Jarrett Boykin, Wheaton, wide receiver there from Pittsburgh, Brandon LaFell, and Hawkins from Cincinnati. So how do you rate this team?
All right, well, I love your freaking wide receivers. I mean, Demaryius Thomas and A.J. Green, holy shit, are you going to dominate at that position this season? Everybody should be scared shitless of your wide receivers. Adding Cordell on the flex was great. Your running backs, on the other hand, yeah. Honestly, I'm looking at this, and dude, you're in a PPR league, thank God. Pierre Thomas is probably going to be your RB1. Gore and CJ 0.5K, not 2K. You're wishfully thinking. Good God. Yeah, the team is great at the wide receiver position. I like Wheaton. LaFell's probably going to be pretty good. But, man, you're really going to have to work the waiver wires on your running back. You're going to need some help there. Pierre Thomas is probably your best bet. It might be okay, but again, man, listen to the show. Hopefully we can give you some advice on waivers. But good luck with that.
Yeah, it looks like Agent Targo here followed like the zero running back theory, which is essentially wait a long time before you get your first running back, and that's because they just don't typically fare well and they get hurt often and so on. But yeah, I mean, obviously Demaryius and AJ are phenomenal, and then he clearly picked up Gronk there in the third round, which is we don't like him this year. It's a lot of risk there. And if Gronk doesn't pan out, the guy's screwed because he spent a third round pick on him, and he's gonna be searching for RBs. You might, like I said, Pierre Thomas will be there for you. You better hope and pray Gore stays healthy. And CJ 2K, just not a big fan of him this year. There in New York, but yeah, again, work that waiver wire. Spend a lot of money if you play the blind waiver bidding on any RBs that pop, because you're set at wide receiver. And I would also definitely pick up a backup tight end because it appears you do not have one, and Gronk may not even start the season.
Yeah, good point.
All right, so that's it for the Reddit questions. On our next show, we'll be discussing Week 1 waiver wire grabs, along with helping you decide who to play in Week 2. We'll also be doing a show moving forward every week starting now, so tune in to get the latest waiver wire pickups and find out who you should be starting week to week. In the meantime, go to redzonewarriors.com where you can watch previous episodes, see our rankings, and subscribe to and rate the show via iTunes. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter and tweet us all of your fantasy questions at Redzone Warriors. So for the Kush Man, I am Rob the Commish Smith, and we will catch you next time.